The crisp October air carried the scent of fallen leaves and wood smoke through the ancient oak trees surrounding Sandringham Estate. Kate Middleton adjusted her navy blue wool coat as she stepped out of the sleek black Range Rover, her breath forming small clouds in the chilly Norfolk evening. The year 2009 had been a whirlwind of public appearances and private moments, but tonight promised something entirely different from the usual royal protocol she had grown accustomed to over the past few years. Prince William emerged from the driver's side, his casual attire of dark jeans and a thick sweater a stark contrast to the formal uniforms and tailored suits the public typically saw him wearing. His sandy hair caught the amber glow from the estate's vintage lanterns as he moved around the vehicle to join Kate. The Halloween celebration they were about to attend had been months in the planning, a carefully orchestrated event that would bring together some of Britain's most prominent young aristocrats and celebrities for an evening of elaborate costumes and sophisticated revelry. The invitation had arrived 6 weeks earlier, hand-delivered by a discreet courier to Clarence House. The cream-colored envelope bore no royal seal or official markings, just an elegant script that read, Their Royal Highnesses Prince William and Miss Catherine Middleton. Inside, the invitation was equally understated yet luxurious, printed on thick cardstock with raised lettering that spoke of old money and established tradition. The event was being hosted by Lady Victoria Hervey at her family's ancestral home, Ickworth House, a magnificent neoclassical mansion that had been in the Hervey family for centuries. Kate had spent considerable time selecting her costume for the evening. Unlike the typical Halloween fare of witches and vampires, this exclusive gathering called for something more sophisticated, more theatrical. After consulting with several high-end costume designers in London, she had settled on portraying Marie Antoinette, complete with an elaborate powdered wig, a corseted gown of silk and velvet, and delicate beauty patches applied by a professional makeup artist who had worked with the Royal Opera House. The transformation had taken nearly 3 hours at a private salon in Mayfair. Kate sat patiently as layers of foundation were applied to achieve the porcelain pale complexion favored by 18th century French aristocracy. The wig, a towering creation of powdered curls and ribbons, added nearly 8 inches to her height and required careful positioning to ensure it remained secure throughout the evening. The gown itself was a masterpiece of historical reproduction, featuring a tightly fitted bodice with intricate embroidery, wide pannier skirts that required careful navigation through doorways, and delicate lace trim that had been hand-sewn by artisans in Belgium. William's costume selection had been equally thoughtful, though his approach was characteristically more understated. He had chosen to appear as a Regency-era gentleman, drawing inspiration from the early 19th century fashion that would have been contemporary with Jane Austen's novels. His outfit consisted of a midnight blue tailcoat with gold buttons, cream-colored breeches, tall leather boots polished to mirror brightness, and a crisp white cravat tied in the elaborate style of the period. A pocket watch on a gold chain and white gloves completed the ensemble, creating an appearance that was both historically accurate and distinctly aristocratic. The preparation for the evening had extended far beyond costume selection. Security arrangements had been meticulously planned, with plainclothes protection officers already stationed around the perimeter of Ickworth House. The guest list had been carefully vetted, limited to approximately 50 individuals from Britain's social elite, including members of established aristocratic families, successful entrepreneurs under 40, and select celebrities known for their discretion and good judgment. Each invitation had included strict guidelines about photography and social media, with guests required to sign confidentiality agreements that would protect the privacy of all attendees. As William and Kate approached the grand entrance of Ickworth House, they could hear the faint sound of a string quartet playing Baroque music from within. The mansion's facade was illuminated by hundreds of candles in crystal holders, creating a warm, golden glow that transformed the neoclassical architecture into something truly magical. Carved pumpkins had been strategically placed along the stone steps, but these were no ordinary jack-o'-lanterns. Each had been professionally carved with intricate designs featuring heraldic symbols, delicate lacework patterns, and elaborate scenic motifs that would have impressed the most skilled artisans. The heavy wooden doors, adorned with wreaths of autumn leaves and black ribbons, were opened by footmen dressed in period costume. These were not hired actors, but actual staff from the Hervey household, many of whom had served the family for decades and took genuine pride in maintaining the traditions associated with such events. Their livery consisted of deep burgundy velvet coats with gold braiding, white stockings, and buckled shoes that clicked against the marble floors as they moved about their duties. Inside the mansion, the transformation was breathtaking. The grand entrance hall, with its soaring ceilings and classical columns, had been decorated to resemble a Gothic cathedral. Enormous candelabras cast dancing shadows on the walls, while strategically placed mirrors amplified the flickering light throughout the space. Black silk draping had been suspended from the ceiling, creating intimate alcoves and mysterious corners that encouraged exploration and conversation. The air was perfumed with the scent of expensive candles, their fragrance a carefully balanced blend of sandalwood, amber, and exotic spices that had been custom created for the occasion. Lady Victoria Hervey appeared at the top of the grand staircase as William and Kate entered, her own costume a stunning interpretation of Cleopatra. The elaborate headdress of gold and precious stones caught the candlelight as she descended, her movements graceful despite the weight of the authentic Egyptian-inspired jewelry she wore. Behind her, other guests could be glimpsed moving through the upper galleries, their costumes creating a parade of historical figures that seemed to have stepped from the pages of history books. The guest list read like a who's who of British high society. Among the attendees were several members of minor royal families from across Europe, including Prince Nikolaus of Greece and Denmark, who had chosen to appear as a Byzantine emperor in robes of purple silk and gold thread. The Earl of Pembroke's son had come dressed as a medieval knight, complete with authentic armor that had been borrowed from a museum collection. Several prominent socialites had coordinated their costumes to represent different periods of fashion history, creating a living timeline that spanned centuries of style and elegance. Celebrity guests included actors Hugh Bonneville and Thandie Newton, both known for their discretion regarding private events. Bonneville had chosen to portray a Victorian gentleman explorer, complete with pith helmet and khaki expedition gear, while Newton appeared as an Egyptian priestess in flowing linen robes adorned with hieroglyphic patterns painted in gold leaf. The gathering also included several prominent figures from the art world, including gallery owner Victoria Moreau and collector Charles Saatchi, both of whom had embraced the theatrical nature of the evening with elaborate period costumes. The mansion's various rooms had been transformed into themed environments, each offering different entertainment and atmospheres for the guests. The library, lined with first-edition books and portraits of Hervey ancestors, had been converted into a Victorian seance parlor, complete with crystal balls, tarot cards, and a medium who performed readings throughout the evening. The conservatory, with its glass ceiling and exotic plants, became an Arabian Nights fantasy, with flowing fabrics, brass lanterns, and musicians playing traditional Middle Eastern instruments. In the main ballroom, a full orchestra dressed in period costume provided music ranging from classical waltzes to contemporary pieces arranged in Baroque style. The dance floor was surrounded by seating areas furnished with antique chairs and settees, their rich fabrics and ornate carvings creating intimate conversation spaces where guests could retreat between dances. Professional dancers, hired to demonstrate various historical dance styles, moved among the guests offering instruction and encouragement to those brave enough to attempt the intricate steps of bygone eras. The attention to detail extended to every aspect of the evening's entertainment. Rather than a typical DJ or modern band, the organizers had hired a renowned early music ensemble known for their historically accurate performances. Their instruments included authentic Baroque violins, a harpsichord that had been transported from London for the occasion, and period-correct wind instruments that produced the pure, crystalline tones associated with 18th-century compositions. Food service was equally impressive, with a team of chefs who specialized in historical cuisine preparing dishes that would have been served at royal courts throughout European history. The menu included elaborate confections inspired by 18th-century French pâtisserie, medieval feast dishes presented on silver platters, and exotic delicacies that reflected the global trade networks of various historical periods. Wine selection featured vintages from renowned European vineyards, some dating back decades, and carefully chosen to complement the evening's sophisticated atmosphere. As the evening progressed, William and Kate found themselves genuinely enjoying the escape from their usual public roles. The anonymity provided by their elaborate costumes, combined with the exclusive nature of the guest list, allowed them to interact with other attendees in a more relaxed and natural manner than was typically possible at official functions. Conversations ranged from discussions of historical accuracy in their various costumes to shared experiences of growing up in prominent families under public scrutiny. Kate discovered a particular affinity for the evening's theme, finding that the theatrical nature of the event appealed to her appreciation for drama and performance. Her background in art history proved valuable as she engaged in detailed discussions about the historical periods represented by various costumes, demonstrating knowledge that impressed even the most educated guests. Her natural grace and poise, enhanced by the elegant lines of her Marie Antoinette gown, made her a focal point of admiration throughout the evening. William, meanwhile, appreciated the opportunity to engage with his peers in an environment that emphasized creativity and historical appreciation rather than protocol and duty. His costume choice reflected his genuine interest in military history and his respect for the traditions that had shaped British society over the centuries. The evening provided a rare opportunity to explore these interests in a social setting that valued knowledge and cultural sophistication above titles and formal rank. The photography restrictions, while initially seeming limiting, actually enhanced the evening's atmosphere by allowing guests to fully immerse themselves in their roles without concern for how their images might be used or interpreted by the media. Professional photographers have been hired to document the event, but their work was strictly for private use by the hosts and would not be released to the public or press. This arrangement allowed for more authentic interactions and genuine enjoyment of the evening's festivities. As midnight approached, the atmosphere in the mansion grew increasingly magical. Candles burned lower in their holders, creating more intimate lighting that enhanced the mystery and romance of the historical setting. The combination of authentic period music, elaborate costumes, and the magnificent architecture of Ickworth House created an immersive experience that transported guests to another era entirely. The success of the evening was evident in the genuine laughter and animated conversations that filled every room of the mansion. Guests who might normally maintain formal distance due to social conventions found themselves drawn into spirited discussions about history, art, and culture. The theatrical nature of the costumes served as excellent conversation starters, breaking down barriers and encouraging interactions that might not have occurred in a more traditional social setting. Kate and William's presence at the event represented more than just celebrity attendance. Their participation demonstrated a commitment to supporting cultural and social activities that celebrated British heritage and tradition. Their choice to attend, despite the potential for media scrutiny and public comment, showed their willingness to embrace the social responsibilities that came with their positions while still maintaining some degree of personal freedom and enjoyment. The evening's success lay not just in its elaborate production values or exclusive guest list, but in its ability to create an authentic escape from the pressures and expectations of modern life. For a few hours, attendees were able to step into different personas, explore historical periods that fascinated them, and engage with like-minded individuals who shared their appreciation for culture, history, and sophisticated entertainment. As the evening drew toward its conclusion, guests began to gather in the main ballroom for the traditional midnight unveiling, where everyone would reveal their identities, and the craftsmanship of their costumes could be fully appreciated. The anticipation was palpable as conversations quieted and attention focused on the evening's grand finale, which promised to be as memorable as everything that had preceded it. The grandfather clock in the grand hallway chimed 12 times, its deep, resonant notes echoing through the candlelit chambers of Ickworth House. Lady Victoria Hervey stepped onto a small platform that had been positioned at one end of the ballroom, her Cleopatra costume glittering under the crystal chandeliers that had been dimmed to create the perfect atmosphere for the evening's most anticipated moment. The string quartet fell silent, their final notes hanging in the perfumed air as 50 of Britain's most elite young socialites turned their attention to their hostess. The midnight unveiling was a tradition that Victoria had borrowed from similar exclusive gatherings held by European aristocracy throughout the centuries. The concept was elegantly simple yet profoundly effective. Guests would remove their masks and reveal their true identities while sharing stories about their costume choices and the historical research that had informed their selections. This moment of revelation always proved to be one of the evening's highlights, as the elaborate disguises had allowed for conversations and interactions that might never have occurred under normal social circumstances. Kate felt a flutter of nervous excitement as she stood beside William in the crowd of costumed figures. Throughout the evening, she had enjoyed the freedom that her Marie Antoinette persona had provided, allowing her to engage in discussions about art, history, and culture without the usual weight of public expectation that accompanied her appearances as Prince William's girlfriend. The powdered wig and elaborate makeup had served as an effective disguise, enabling her to observe and participate in ways that would have been impossible at a typical royal function. The ballroom itself had been transformed into a theatrical stage for this culminating moment. Hundreds of additional candles had been lit and positioned strategically around the perimeter, creating a warm, golden glow that would flatter every costume and complexion. Professional lighting technicians, working discreetly from hidden positions, adjusted the illumination to ensure that each guest would be properly showcased when their turn came to step forward and reveal their identity. Victoria began the ceremony by removing her own elaborate Egyptian headdress, revealing her carefully styled blonde hair and sparkling tiara underneath. Her voice carried clearly through the acoustically perfect ballroom as she welcomed her guests and explained the significance of the evening's theme. She spoke about the importance of preserving historical appreciation and cultural sophistication in an increasingly digital and fast-paced world, emphasizing how events like this one serve to maintain connections to the rich heritage that had shaped British society. The first guest to step forward for individual recognition was Prince Nikolaos of Greece and Denmark, whose Byzantine emperor costume had drawn admiration throughout the evening. As he removed his ceremonial mask, revealing his handsome features and warm smile, he spoke eloquently about his fascination with the Eastern Roman Empire and the months of research he had conducted to ensure historical accuracy in every detail of his costume. His purple silk robes, embroidered with genuine gold thread, had been created by artisans who specialized in museum-quality reproductions. Following Prince Nikolaos, the Earl of Pembroke's son stepped forward, beginning the process of removing his medieval knight's armor with assistance from 2 footmen. The authentic pieces, borrowed from the Royal Armoury's collection, represented centuries of metalworking expertise and had required special transportation and insurance arrangements for the evening. As each piece was carefully removed, revealing a young man whose genuine passion for military history was evident in his detailed explanations of medieval warfare and chivalry traditions. Hugh Bonneville's Victorian explorer persona had been masterfully executed, complete with authentic expedition equipment and carefully aged clothing that told the story of adventures in distant lands. When he removed his pith helmet and false mustache, revealing the familiar face that audiences knew from period dramas and contemporary films, he regaled the gathering with tales of actual Victorian explorers who had inspired his costume choice. His research had included consultation with curators from the Royal Geographical Society and examination of authentic artifacts from 19th century expeditions. Tanny Newton's Egyptian priestess costume represented hours of collaboration with costume historians and makeup artists who specialized in ancient civilizations. The hieroglyphic patterns painted on her flowing linen robes had been researched for accuracy and meaning, creating not just visual appeal, but also historical authenticity. Her removal of the elaborate headdress revealed intricate braiding and jewelry that complemented the overall aesthetic, while showcasing the attention to detail that had characterized every aspect of the evening's preparations. Gallery owner Victoria Moreau had chosen to portray Artemisia Gentileschi, the 17th-century Italian painter whose powerful works had challenged artistic conventions of her era. Her costume included a paint-stained smock, carefully crafted to appear authentically used, and reproductions of period painting implements. The artistic community represented at the gathering appreciated not only the visual impact of her costume, but also the feminist statement implicit in her choice to honor a pioneering female artist from a male-dominated historical period. Charles Saatchi's costume as a Renaissance art patron required no mask, but his elaborate period clothing and accessories told the story of the cultural flowering that had characterized 15th-century Italy. His detailed knowledge of Renaissance art collecting practices, combined with his modern expertise in contemporary art markets, provided fascinating insights into how artistic patronage had evolved over the centuries while maintaining certain fundamental characteristics. As each guest took their turn in the spotlight, patterns began to emerge in their costume choices and the research that had informed their selections. Many had chosen figures from periods of significant cultural or political change, reflecting perhaps an unconscious appreciation for the transformative era in which they themselves were living. Others had selected personas that represented their personal interests or professional specializations, using the evening's theme as an opportunity to explore and share their passions with like-minded individuals. The costume craftsmanship displayed throughout the evening represented the work of dozens of artisans, designers, and specialists who rarely had opportunities to showcase their skills in such elaborate productions. Historical costume makers, theatrical designers, jewelry artisans, and textile specialists had collaborated to create wearable works of art that honored both historical accuracy and contemporary aesthetic sensibilities. The economic impact of the evening extended far beyond the immediate guest list to include these skilled craftspeople and the suppliers who had provided materials and services. When William's turn arrived, the atmosphere in the ballroom became noticeably more attentive. His Regency gentleman costume had been admired throughout the evening for its understated elegance and historical accuracy, but few guests had recognized the prince beneath the period clothing and carefully styled hair. As he stepped forward and removed his white gloves with characteristic grace, a murmur of recognition and approval rippled through the gathered assembly. William spoke about his fascination with the Regency period, particularly its significance as a time of military conflict and social change that had shaped modern Britain. His costume represented not just aesthetic appreciation, but also genuine historical interest informed by his military training and constitutional responsibilities. The Napoleonic Wars, which had dominated the Regency era, held particular relevance for someone destined to serve as head of the British Armed Forces, and his detailed knowledge of the period reflected serious study rather than casual interest. The prince's presence at such an exclusive private gathering demonstrated his commitment to maintaining connections with his peer group while fulfilling his constitutional role as future monarch. The evening provided an opportunity for informal diplomacy and relationship building that would serve him well in his future responsibilities. His interactions with other guests throughout the evening had been characterized by genuine interest and engagement rather than the formal politeness required at official functions. Kate's unveiling was perhaps the most anticipated moment of the entire evening. Her Marie Antoinette costume had been the subject of considerable speculation and admiration throughout the night, with many guests attempting to identify the mysterious figure behind the elaborate powdered wig and delicate beauty patches. The transformation had been so complete that even some acquaintances had failed to recognize her during earlier conversations. As she began the process of removing her costume's accessories, starting with the delicate gloves and jeweled necklace, the assembled guests watched with keen attention. The Marie Antoinette persona had allowed her to demonstrate knowledge of 18th century French culture and politics that impressed even the most educated attendees. Her discussions throughout the evening had revealed extensive reading and research that went far beyond what might be expected from someone known primarily for her relationship with Prince William. The removal of the towering powdered wig was a carefully choreographed moment that required assistance from Lady Victoria's personal maid, who had been trained in handling such elaborate historical reproductions. As Kate's natural hair was revealed, styled in a simple yet elegant manner that contrasted beautifully with the artifice that had concealed it, the appreciation of the gathered assembly was evident in their spontaneous applause. Kate's explanation of her costume choice revealed the depth of consideration that had informed her selection. She spoke about Marie Antoinette not as the frivolous figure of popular imagination, but as a complex historical personality whose life had reflected the challenges faced by women in positions of public scrutiny. The parallels to her own situation were subtle but unmistakable, and her thoughtful analysis demonstrated an intelligence and sophistication that impressed even the most skeptical observers. The historical accuracy of Kate's costume extended beyond mere appearance to include authentic accessories and period-appropriate makeup techniques. Her collaboration with costume historians had resulted in a portrayal that honored both the aesthetic appeal of 18th century fashion and the historical reality of Marie Antoinette's actual appearance and circumstances. The attention to detail reflected not just financial resources, but also genuine intellectual engagement with historical research. Her natural grace and poise, enhanced by months of experience with public appearances, made her a compelling figure even when stripped of the elaborate costume elements. The evening had provided an opportunity to demonstrate qualities beyond beauty and fashion sense, revealing an educated and thoughtful young woman capable of holding her own in sophisticated company. Her conversations with other guests had ranged from art history to contemporary politics, always informed by careful preparation and genuine interest. The interaction between William and Kate throughout the evening had been closely observed by other guests, providing insights into their relationship dynamic that were rarely visible in public settings. Their comfort with each other was evident in small gestures and shared glances, while their ability to function independently in social situations demonstrated the confidence that would serve them well in their future roles. The evening had tested their ability to represent themselves and each other with dignity and charm under circumstances that, while private, were no less scrutinized than their public appearances. The costume themes chosen by the various guests revealed interesting patterns in how Britain's young elite viewed history and their own places within it. Many had selected figures from periods of significant social or political transformation, suggesting an awareness that they themselves were living through times of considerable change. Others had chosen personas that reflected their professional interests or personal passions, using the evening's format as an opportunity to share knowledge and enthusiasm with like-minded individuals. The success of the midnight unveiling lay not just in the spectacle of costume revelation, but in the conversations and connections that emerged from shared appreciation of historical knowledge and cultural sophistication. Guests discovered common interests and formed friendships that would extend far beyond the evening itself, creating networks of relationship that would influence British social and cultural life for years to come. As the formal unveiling ceremony concluded, guests began to mingle more freely, now able to engage in conversations informed by full knowledge of each other's identities and backgrounds. The removal of costumes and masks had created a different but equally intimate atmosphere, one that encouraged deeper discussions and more meaningful connections than the theatrical interactions that had characterized the earlier portion of the evening. The transition from masked mystery to revealed identity had been expertly managed by Lady Victoria and her staff, creating a seamless flow that maintained the evening's magical atmosphere while acknowledging the return to recognizable social reality. The careful timing and staging had ensured that each guest received appropriate attention and recognition while contributing to the collective success of the evening's entertainment. The photographic documentation of the unveiling ceremony would provide lasting memories for all participants while respecting the privacy agreements that had been established at the beginning of the evening. Professional photographers captured the artistry of each costume and the elegance of the overall event, creating a visual record that honored both the individual efforts of guests and the collective achievement of the evening's organizers. Following the midnight unveiling ceremony, the atmosphere at Ickworth House shifted into a more relaxed and intimate phase of the evening. The formal presentations had concluded, but the real magic was just beginning as guests, now revealed in their true identities, began to explore deeper connections and engage in conversations that would have been impossible behind their elaborate masks and costumes. The ballroom, still illuminated by hundreds of flickering candles, became the stage for interactions that would shape relationships and friendships for years to come. William and Kate found themselves at the center of attention, but in a way that felt natural and comfortable rather than overwhelming or intrusive. The exclusive nature of the guest list meant that everyone present understood the protocols of discretion and respect that governed such gatherings. These were individuals who moved in similar circles, faced comparable public scrutiny in their own fields, and appreciated the rare opportunity to socialize without the constant pressure of media observation or public judgment. Lady Victoria Hervey proved to be an exceptional hostess, moving gracefully between groups of guests and facilitating introductions that sparked fascinating conversations. Her deep knowledge of each attendee's interests and backgrounds allowed her to create connections that might not have occurred naturally, bringing together individuals who discovered shared passions or complementary expertise. The success of such exclusive gatherings often depended on this subtle social orchestration, and Victoria demonstrated a natural talent for creating an environment where genuine relationships could flourish. Kate found herself drawn into an animated discussion with several female guests who shared her interest in art history and cultural preservation. Tandy Newton, still radiant despite having removed her elaborate Egyptian priestess costume, spoke eloquently about her experiences working on historical films and the importance of maintaining authenticity in period productions. Gallery owner Victoria Moreau contributed insights from the contemporary art world, describing how historical influences continued to shape modern artistic expression. The conversation expanded to include Lady Sarah Chatto, Queen Elizabeth's niece, whose professional work as a painter provided a unique perspective on the intersection between royal duty and artistic expression. Her presence at the gathering represented a bridge between different generations of the royal family, and her insights into balancing personal passion with public responsibility proved invaluable to Kate, who was navigating her own complex relationship with royal expectations and personal aspirations. These women, successful in their respective fields while maintaining sophisticated understanding of social obligations, provided Kate with examples of how to manage the challenges of living in the public while pursuing meaningful work and maintaining authentic relationships. Their willingness to share experiences and offer guidance created bonds that would prove crucial during Kate's later transition into full royal responsibilities. Meanwhile, William engaged in equally substantive conversations with male guests whose diverse backgrounds provided insights into leadership, service, and responsibility that resonated with his own experiences and future obligations. Hugh Bonneville, whose career had encompassed both commercial entertainment and serious dramatic work, spoke about the importance of using public platforms responsibly and the challenges of maintaining artistic integrity while meeting audience expectations. Prince Nikolaos of Greece and Denmark shared perspectives on growing up within royal families that had faced significant political and social changes throughout the 20th century. His experiences as a member of a royal house that had endured exile, restoration, and eventual constitutional redefinition provided William with valuable insights into adapting traditional institutions to meet contemporary needs while preserving essential values and traditions. The Earl of Pembroke's son, whose own family had maintained significant estates and public responsibilities across many generations, contributed knowledge about land management, conservation, and the evolving role of hereditary peers in modern British society. These discussions touched on issues that William would need to address as future monarch, including the balance between historical preservation and necessary modernization. Charles Saatchi's presence added another dimension to the evening's conversations, as his experience in both advertising and art collecting provided insights into how cultural influence operated in contemporary society. His understanding of how public perception could be shaped and directed proved particularly relevant to William and Kate, who were learning to navigate an increasingly complex media landscape while maintaining authentic public personas. The physical setting of Ickworth House continued to play a crucial role in facilitating these meaningful interactions. The mansion's numerous rooms and varied architectural spaces provided natural gathering points for different types of conversations. The library, with its thousands of leather-bound volumes and comfortable seating areas, became a favorite location for more serious discussions about literature, history, and political philosophy. In the conservatory, where exotic plants created a tropical atmosphere despite the October chill outside, lighter conversations about travel, cultural experiences, and personal interests flourished. The contrast between the formal grandeur of the main reception rooms and the more intimate spaces throughout the house allowed guests to find environments that suited their moods and conversation preferences. The dining room, where a magnificent buffet had been arranged featuring delicacies from various historical periods, served as a natural gathering point where conversations could flow organically as guests sampled foods and wines while continuing their discussions. The menu itself had been designed to spark conversation, with dishes representing different cultural traditions and historical periods that reflected the evening's overall theme. Professional staff members, dressed in period costumes that complemented the evening's atmosphere, moved discreetly throughout the house, ensuring that guests' needs were met without intruding on their conversations. These individuals, many of whom had worked for the Hervey family for decades, understood the importance of maintaining the delicate balance between attentive service and respectful privacy that such gatherings required. As the evening progressed into the early hours of the morning, smaller groups began to form based on shared interests and emerging friendships. Kate found herself part of a fascinating discussion about the role of historical costume in contemporary fashion, with several guests sharing insights about how period influences continued to shape modern design aesthetic. This conversation led to exchanges of contact information and tentative plans for future collaborative projects. William gravitated toward discussions about military history and contemporary security challenges, topics that held particular relevance given his own service background and future constitutional responsibilities. The presence of guests with diverse military and diplomatic experience provided opportunities for informal education that complemented his formal briefings and official duties. The evening's success in fostering genuine connections was evident in the quality of conversations that developed as barriers of formality dissolved. Guests who might normally maintain careful social distance due to differences in rank, wealth, or professional status found themselves engaging in spirited debates and sharing personal experiences that revealed common humanity beneath their public personas. Photography throughout this portion of the evening was handled with exceptional discretion, capturing moments that would serve as private memories rather than public documentation. The photographers, all of whom had extensive experience working with high-profile subjects, understood how to document social interactions without creating the self-consciousness that could inhibit natural behavior and authentic conversation. The music during this phase of the evening shifted from the formal Baroque compositions that had accompanied dinner and the unveiling ceremony to more contemporary selections arranged for classical instruments. This subtle transition helped maintain the sophisticated atmosphere while acknowledging the evolution of the gathering from formal entertainment to genuine social interaction. Kate's natural social skills, honed through years of navigating complex social situations as William's girlfriend, were evident in her ability to connect with guests from diverse backgrounds and interests. Her genuine curiosity about others and Her thoughtful questions demonstrated emotional intelligence that impressed even the most socially experienced attendees. These interactions provided valuable practice for the diplomatic skills she would need as a future member of the royal family. William's leadership qualities emerged naturally in group conversations, as other guests deferred to his insights and sought his opinions on various topics. His ability to listen carefully, ask thoughtful questions, and contribute meaningfully to discussions across a wide range of subjects demonstrated the intellectual curiosity and broad knowledge base that would serve him well in his future role as monarch. The couple's interaction with each other throughout this portion of the evening provided observers with insights into their relationship dynamic that were rarely visible in public settings. Their comfort with each other was evident in subtle gestures and shared glances, while their ability to function independently in social situations demonstrated a partnership based on mutual respect and genuine affection rather than mere convenience or expectation. Lady Victoria's own interactions with William and Kate revealed her skill as a social facilitator and her understanding of their unique position within British society. Her ability to include them naturally in conversations, while respecting their need for genuine rather than deferential treatment, demonstrated the sophisticated social intelligence that made her an ideal hostess for such exclusive gatherings. The evening's entertainment value extended beyond mere socializing to include impromptu performances and demonstrations that emerged organically from the assembled talent. Several guests with musical abilities contributed to informal concerts using the mansion's period instruments, while others shared expertise in various cultural and artistic fields that enriched everyone's understanding and appreciation. The international dimension of the guest list, including representatives of various European royal families and cultural traditions, provided opportunities for cross-cultural exchange that broadened everyone's perspectives. These conversations touched on differences in royal protocols, cultural preservation strategies, and approaches to modernizing ancient institutions while maintaining their essential character and purpose. As dawn began to approach, the gathering took on an almost magical quality as the combination of candlelight, period architecture, and meaningful conversation created an atmosphere that seemed to exist outside normal time and space. Guests who had arrived as acquaintances or even strangers found themselves forming friendships that would endure long after the evening's conclusion. The success of the gathering lay not just in its elaborate production values or exclusive guest list, but in its ability to create authentic human connections among individuals who rarely had opportunities for genuine social interaction free from professional obligations and public scrutiny. The evening demonstrated that even in an increasingly digital and fast-paced world, there remained deep appreciation for cultural sophistication, historical knowledge, and meaningful conversation. For William and Kate, the evening represented more than just entertainment. It provided valuable experience in representing themselves with dignity and charm in exclusive social settings while building relationships that would prove important in their future roles. The connections formed during the evening would contribute to their understanding of British cultural life and provide them with insights into the perspectives and concerns of their generational peers. The lasting impact of the gathering would extend far beyond the immediate enjoyment of the participants to influence cultural and social trends among Britain's elite for years to come. The emphasis on historical knowledge, cultural appreciation, and sophisticated entertainment would inspire similar events and contribute to a renewed interest in preserving and celebrating British heritage among younger generations. As the first pale streaks of dawn crept across the Norfolk countryside, the exclusive Halloween gathering at Ickworth House began to draw toward its natural conclusion. The ancient mansion, which had witnessed centuries of significant social events, now played host to the final chapter of an evening that would be remembered and discussed in elite British circles for years to come. The transformation from elaborate costume party to intimate social gathering had created memories and relationships that extended far beyond the immediate entertainment value of the occasion. The logistics of concluding such an exclusive event required careful coordination and discretion. Lady Victoria Hervey and her staff had planned every detail of the departure process to ensure that guests could leave with the same privacy and dignity that had characterized their arrival. A fleet of luxury vehicles, arranged in advance and staffed with drivers who understood the importance of confidentiality, waited discreetly in the mansion's circular drive and surrounding areas. Kate found herself reluctant to end conversations that had proven so rewarding and intellectually stimulating. Throughout the evening, she had discovered common interests and formed connections that felt genuine rather than merely polite social interactions. The women she had met represented successful examples of how to balance public visibility with personal authenticity, providing models that would prove invaluable as she navigated her own complex relationship with royal expectations. Her conversation with Lady Sarah Chatto had been particularly meaningful, as Sarah's unique position within the royal family provided insights into maintaining artistic integrity while fulfilling familial obligations. Their discussion about the role of creativity and personal fulfillment had touched on themes that resonated deeply with Kate's own interests in photography and art history, suggesting possibilities for future collaboration and shared projects. The connection with Tandy Newton had opened discussions about the portrayal of historical figures in contemporary media, a topic that held particular relevance given Kate's growing awareness of how public figures were represented and interpreted. Newton's experiences working on period dramas had provided valuable insights into the challenges of maintaining historical authenticity while meeting contemporary audience expectations. William's conversations throughout the evening had been equally substantive and valuable for his personal and professional development. His discussions with Prince Nicolaus about adapting royal institutions to meet modern challenges had provided perspectives that complemented his formal constitutional education. The informal nature of these exchanges had allowed for frank discussions about the realities of royal life that were rarely possible in official settings. His interaction with military veterans and current service members among the guests had reinforced his understanding of contemporary security challenges and the evolving nature of military service in the 21st century. These conversations had practical implications for his own military career and future role as head of the British Armed Forces, providing insights that would influence his approach to leadership and service. The cultural discussions facilitated by Charles Saatchi and other art world figures had expanded William's appreciation for the role of cultural patronage in modern society. Understanding how artistic and cultural institutions operated and evolved would be crucial for his future responsibilities as patron of numerous organizations and his role in preserving and promoting British cultural heritage. As guests began to make their farewells, the process revealed the genuine warmth and connection that had developed throughout the evening. Exchange of contact information was common, with many guests expressing hopes for future meetings and collaborative projects. The Halloween gathering had served as a catalyst for relationships and initiatives that would extend far beyond the immediate social occasion. Lady Victoria moved gracefully through the departing groups, accepting congratulations on the evening's success while ensuring that each guest felt properly appreciated for their participation. Her skill as a hostess was evident in these final interactions, as she managed to make each farewell feel personal and meaningful despite the large number of attendees and the complexity of coordinating simultaneous departures. The costume designers, makeup artists, and other creative professionals who had contributed to the evening's success were also receiving well-deserved recognition from guests who appreciated the artistry and craftsmanship that had made their transformations possible. Several guests expressed interest in commissioning future work from these talented artisans, ensuring that the economic benefits of the evening would extend to the creative community that had made it possible. Professional staff members, from musicians who had provided entertainment throughout the evening to the catering team who had created the elaborate historical menu, were acknowledged for their contributions to the evening's success. The level of service had been exceptional throughout, maintaining the sophisticated atmosphere while remaining unobtrusive and respectful of guests' privacy and comfort. The security arrangements, which had been carefully planned and executed throughout the evening, continued to function smoothly during the departure process. Plainclothes protection officers ensured that William and Kate could leave safely and privately while maintaining the discretion that had characterized the entire event. Their professionalism had been evident throughout the evening as they balanced security requirements with a need to allow natural social interaction. Kate's departure process included the careful removal and packing of her elaborate Marie Antoinette costume, a process that required assistance from experienced costume handlers who understood the value and fragility of the historical reproduction pieces. The wig, gown, and accessories represented significant investment in both materials and craftsmanship, requiring proper care to preserve them for potential future use or display. The makeup removal process, handled by the same professional artists who had created the 18th century transformation, revealed Kate's natural beauty enhanced by the confidence and satisfaction that came from a successful social performance. The evening had allowed her to demonstrate qualities beyond her well-known style and grace, showcasing intelligence and cultural sophistication that impressed even the most demanding social observers. William's departure was equally carefully managed, with his Regency costume packed by specialists who understood the historical value and proper care requirements of period clothing. His natural ease in social situations had been evident throughout the evening, but the exclusive gathering had provided opportunities to develop relationships and gain insights that would prove valuable in his future royal duties. The couple's departure together in William's Range Rover marked the end of their participation in an evening that had exceeded their expectations in terms of both entertainment value and meaningful social interaction. Their presence had enhanced the gathering's prestige, while their genuine engagement with other guests had demonstrated their commitment to building authentic relationships within their social circle. The drive back to London through the early morning countryside provided time for reflection on the evening's experiences and the connections that had been formed. The privacy of their vehicle allowed for honest discussion about the people they had met, the conversations that had impressed them, and the insights they had gained into their own developing roles within British society. For Kate, the evening had provided valuable experience in representing herself with dignity and sophistication in exclusive social settings. Her ability to engage meaningfully with individuals from diverse backgrounds while maintaining appropriate protocol had demonstrated skills that would prove crucial in her future role as a member of the royal family. William's interactions throughout the evening had reinforced his understanding of the importance of building genuine relationships with his generational peers across various fields of endeavor. The informal nature of the gathering had allowed for conversations and connections that would complement his official duties and provide him with broader perspectives on contemporary British society. The media implications of their attendance at such an exclusive private gathering were carefully considered and managed. The strict confidentiality agreements signed by all attendees ensured that details of the evening would remain private, protecting both the hosts and guests from unwanted publicity while allowing for genuine enjoyment of the social occasion. Professional photographers hired to document the event had captured moments that would serve as treasured private memories for all participants. The images would provide lasting records of the artistic achievements represented by the elaborate costumes and the social success of bringing together such a distinguished group of individuals for meaningful cultural celebration. The broader cultural impact of the gathering extended beyond its immediate participants to influence trends in exclusive social entertainment among Britain's elite. The emphasis on historical knowledge, cultural sophistication, and artistic appreciation would inspire similar events and contribute to renewed interest in preserving and celebrating British heritage among younger generations. For the hospitality and events industry, the evening represented a pinnacle of sophisticated entertainment that demonstrated the market for exclusive gatherings that emphasized cultural enrichment alongside social enjoyment. The success of combining historical themes with contemporary luxury would influence the development of similar high-end social events for years to come. The artisans and creative professionals who had contributed to the evening's success gained valuable exposure to potential clients among Britain's cultural and social elite. The quality of their work, demonstrated under the scrutiny of such a discerning audience, would lead to future commissions and enhanced reputations within their respective fields. The economic impact of the gathering extended throughout the Norfolk region, from the luxury accommodations required for out-of-town guests to the specialized services needed for such an elaborate production. Local suppliers, service providers, and craftspeople all benefited from the substantial investment required to create an event of such sophistication and scale. The historical significance of hosting such a gathering at Ickworth House added another chapter to the mansion's long history of important social events. The Hervey family's commitment to maintaining and utilizing their ancestral home for cultural purposes demonstrated how historical properties could remain relevant and vibrant rather than becoming mere museum pieces. As the sun rose fully over the English countryside, marking the official end of the Halloween gathering, participants carried with them memories of an evening that had successfully combined entertainment, education, and social enrichment. The success of the event lay not just in its elaborate production values, but in its ability to create authentic human connections among individuals who rarely had opportunities for such meaningful interaction free from professional obligations and public scrutiny. The lasting friendships and professional relationships formed during the evening would continue to influence British cultural and social life for years to come, demonstrating that even in an increasingly digital age, there remained deep appreciation for sophisticated entertainment, historical knowledge, and genuine human connection. For William and Kate, the evening had provided valuable experience and insights that would serve them well as they continued their journey toward greater public responsibility and eventual royal leadership. The exclusive Halloween gathering of 2009 would be remembered not just as an exceptional entertainment, but as an example of how cultural sophistication, historical appreciation, and genuine social connection could create experiences that enriched the lives of participants while contributing to the preservation and evolution of British cultural traditions. The success of the evening demonstrated that exclusivity, when combined with substance and cultural value, could create social events that transcended mere entertainment to become meaningful cultural celebrations.